My name's Chris Mear. I've had a slightly odd sort of working career history. I took a break from doing software development for several years and went and earned my living playing the piano and teaching the piano and coaching musicians. And now that I'm back in software, I'm always surprised at how those experiences affect and sort of inform the work and the learning that I do as a programmer, and also kind of the work and learning that my team does and how I try and help them. So this is going to be a little bit about music, a little bit touching on the topic of kind of art and how we do art and programming, and like from Valerie's talk. But I want to give you 3 stories, or sort of 3 prompts, if you like, to make you maybe ask some questions about your own practices. So the first one is about practice, right? It probably comes as no surprise to tell you that my most successful students were the ones that practiced. Some of these kids I only saw for 20 minutes a week or something, and then so all the progress they make is in that time that they practice at home. But what I didn't realize when I started out as a teacher was that I'd have kids who would do a load of practice. You know, they'd go do hours between the times I saw them, and they'd make no progress. Because what they were doing was playing the wrong thing on repeat, and not really realizing that they had to listen to what they were playing, spot the mistakes, and try and get better. And that skill of listening to yourself, or reviewing the thing that you've written, that kind of self-criticism, that's a skill that needs to be nurtured, and it's self-practiced. Now, I'm not saying you need to pick apart every piece of work you do, but from time to time, I find it useful to step back from what I've just written, maybe come back to it the next day, look at it in a different light, pretend that I'm a team member reviewing my own code, and kind of learn a little bit about how I'm working and trying to make that better. So that's one thing, practice and kind of self-criticism. The second one is about multiple levels of understanding. I talk sort of kid beginners and adult beginners, and the thing that the adult beginners really struggled with is because they already understood a lot of music, they knew what music sounded like, and they knew the sounds they wanted to make, and they were incredibly frustrated that all they could pick out were these tiny little melodies. They heard every mistake they made. Whereas a lot of the kids were very satisfied, just like, I want you to play these 3 notes in this order. They can do that little mechanical thing, a bit like Guitar Hero, get it right, and get a great amount of satisfaction and pleasure out of solving that little problem, down at the lowest level of kind of understanding, right? And we all work at, programming is all about building up these levels of understanding, right? We have the syntax of the language we use, we have the paradigm of the programming language, then we have our own class designs, system designs, all of that, and we're constantly delving up and down amongst these layers. And I find it, when I'm sort of confronted with a problem that I'm struggling with, I find it a useful trick to just be really clear in my head what level of abstraction am I actually working at? Where is the problem? Perhaps when I'm helping someone to pick apart something that they are struggling with, I help them by trying to figure out what layer in that strata they're actually working with. And also just remember to take pleasure in all those layers. Maybe you're now, the syntax of Ruby is second nature to you. Why not go and find another programming language and experience the pleasure of getting used to a new weird syntax again? It might come in handy when you're writing your own sort of pseudo syntax in the DSL, perhaps. The third and final one is, what was the third and final one? This is what happens when you have your notes on your phone and the phone battery runs out. The third and final one was about, oh goodness, this is embarrassing. Give me 1 second. It's completely gone blank. You've scared me. Yes, it was about being that feeling of something becoming second nature. We all had that. So we learned, to drive, or we learned a programming language. And before too long, if you do it a lot, you forget that that was something you had to learn, and it becomes second nature. It becomes unconscious. And it's really good sometimes just to go back through that path of how did I get from no understanding to it becoming completely natural to me. And what you'll find, if you ever try and teach that kind of journey to someone, people have lots of different paths to get to the same place that you had, of that second nature. Picking that apart and finding other people's paths to it can be really instructive. I've got 30 seconds. I'm going to tell you one example that made me realize this. Reading music to me now, after having done it for 30 years, is just second nature. It's like reading English, right? So I forgot how weird it is, right? Until a kid pointed out to me that I can work out the pitch of something really easily, but I'm really struggling with rhythm. And I thought, why? They're just the same, same 2 aspects of the same coin. It's not really. Pitch is really obvious on the page. The higher it is on the page, the higher it is on the piano. Whereas rhythm are this weird symbols that you have to learn, and I'd forgotten that I had to learn that. So that's something, just revisit your assumptions about how you came to be, to find something second nature, and that will help you connect with other people who are learning like you. Thank you very much.